Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is so great to see you guys here. And we are wrapping up the content today. Three short little chapters. So get ready by all means to go. I'm letting a few people in, and the recording's already started. And we are absolutely going to get rocking today. So, allow that with Zoom. Did updates on the computer today. Lots of fun stuff. So, first and foremost, happy Valentine's Day to all my happy little Valentines joining me here in Morning Mindset, our daily dose of information, motivation, a whole lot of inspiration to get our days going, rocking and rolling, making magic happen. So glad you guys are here. Man, amazing content, especially getting into the appendices
Yep.
and three killer mini chapters. Pricing on the bridge, and I'm going to give you guys some of my language on there. Dynamic pricing, and then probably one of the most important ones, your next transaction is embedded in this one. And of course, the ninja prayer closing out. So, with all of that being said, man, I could talk for days on this material, and I want to hear from you guys. So, I'm looking for hands up, I'm looking for mics hot. And of course, April came in, threw that hand up first thing. I didn't miss a beat, my dear. What do you have to share with the room from wrapping up ninja selling?
Yeah, so I want to mention the step 10 in the seller process, where he says, "My mission is to get you your sell your house by this point. Would you like to see your odds?" And I thought it was really cool that that statement itself attracts to all personalities, because if they're the power personality, they want to get straight to the point. If they are somebody who's more of a party person, odds is like gambling. If it is somebody who's more cautious, they want to know what the risk is. If it's somebody more statistical, those odds, they want to see like the numbers. So I thought that was really interesting and really cool, just to like word it that way so that you can just get their attention really easy.
Yeah, and this whole tool we're going to see throughout these scattergrams. I have never used them. Even when we did this last year, I didn't quite grasp and understand them. Maria and I had a great conversation this morning on them, and she's actually working on automating this for you guys. She was digging in how to make this happen quick and easy for you. That being said, I love that you went back to that. Thank you, April, bringing in the seller presentation. In fact, today, anything, guys. Anything goes. It's our last day in the book. What do you got?
I don't know if we could to kind of go further on the scattergram. I understand the embedded when this transaction is embedded in the next, or that one next one is embedded this one. I get that, but like you said, and I'm not sure about the whole pricing on the bridge thing. I get that there's two places, but is that really the best way to go about it every single time? I don't know if
Let
that's
me give you guys my language on this because, again, it's not telling anybody anything, it's a question driven conversation. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you aware that there are two numbers that we use in real estate?
yes, no.
What do you think they are?
Six.
What I'm going to list at and what the person wants to buy at.
Okay, so in our words, the language we use is the sale price and the list price. And the sale price is a number that a buyer is willing to offer, a seller is willing to accept, and we usually negotiate to that, don't we?
Yes.
And do you know what the purpose of the list price is?
No. It's because I want to sell it at that and get the money for it. But if there's more to it, I need to know.
You know, that's interesting because most people look at the list price like you do as a starting price of a negotiation, and then we're going to negotiate down. The actual purpose of the list price is to attract attention, to collect eyeballs. Its job is a marketing tool. So let me ask, you ever go looking for houses?
Yes.
And when you first start looking for real estate in today's marketplace, where do you go?
I usually go online first.
Yeah, you go online to one of those tools like Realtor.com or the MLS or let's say Zillow, for example. And after you have set up, because you're setting up a search, right? And the first thing it asks is location, geographic location. So you set that up. What's the next thing it asks you to set up for your search?
Well, I do the bedrooms and the bathrooms after that.
Well, if you're looking at the
Oh,
technology,
price.
what's actually the next thing it asks you to set up?
The price.
Yeah, the price, right? And so question, when you click on that and look at those drop downs, are they random numbers like 372, 399.9, 407, or are they exact numbers like 350, 400, 450?
Yeah, they're usually 300, 400, exactly.
Yeah.
Not
So if
anything
you go
insane.
with someone who uses this 1980s pricing of 399.9, when somebody goes online to search, will everybody looking at 400 and below see that listing?
Yes.
How about everybody looking at 400 and above?
No, no.
And what's the purpose of the list price again?
To get eyeballs on it.
Right? To get eyeballs. Do you know that if you just go right at the number, this is what we do now in the marketplace. People that know how to market in 2025 know that this is the way to get more people looking at it. So if we listed right at 400, would everybody 400 and below see it?
No, 400 and below, no.
If it was right at 400, would everybody 400 and below see it?
Oh, yes,
And
sorry.
how about everybody 400 and above?
Yes.
You've literally almost
No.
doubled the amount of eyeballs by pricing right at the exact number. And you do want more eyeballs, don't you?
Yes.
And by the way, if we get twice as many eyeballs on this house online, what might that do to our showing numbers?
Increase them.
And what might that do to our offer numbers?
Be better.
Might increase those too, right?
Yes.
And by the way, if we get multiple offers, are we negotiating down or are we now negotiating up?
Up.
Which one's ultimately going to get you the highest price?
Up. $3.99.
And by the way, which one is more fun?
$3.99.
Negotiating.
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Which one is more fun? Negotiating down or
Up.
right?
Right.
That's why this pricing on the bridge is so important.
So, but let's say my house is worth $3.99, like 400, $3.99.9, right? So then, but what if my house is in the middle? Like, I don't want to go too high, but I don't want to go too low either. Or you're always going 100 up?
I love that, Mrs. Seller. And I have a question for you. In today's marketplace, where once a house gets online, it's syndicated everywhere. Can you really underprice a house?
I guess not.
Well, let's just say your $399 house. And I'm not saying to do this. If we put it on the market today for 300, what would happen?
I think a lot of people would look at it and somebody would get an offer, but I don't want an offer that low. Oh, I see.
Hold on. You said a lot of people would look at it. How many people possibly, if you just wave a magic wand and see it at 300 grand, how many people would show up in the next 72 hours?
Oh, okay, I get it. I understand.
Well,
yeah, a lot.
Possible
multiple
a lot of people
multiple
are
offers.
interested and they see it's a great value. How many offers do we get?
A lot, hopefully a lot.
And in that situation, which way are we negotiating? And so I got to ask of all the families and especially the moms that fall in love with your kitchen, your great room, and can see their family and friends entertaining there. Which husband wants to be the one to tell his wife no?
Probably not.
Right? That's why getting pricing right for marketing and pricing on the bridge is so important. So let's go in and review now the numbers of what's actually happening on homes like yours in today's marketplace. and then we'll shift to educating on the pricing. But we've got to get them to understand first that there's these two numbers, and to get them broken from thinking list price is sales price. We've got to get them to understand it's a marketing tool, and that's why this pricing on the bridge conversation is so critical. Now, I saw Justin's hot first, and then I see others hot that I'll be coming to.
There we go. Now it's open. So, question, and I have seen, I've experienced this. I believe in the whole concept of what you're talking about. In this market where Carrie and I are at, $300,000-$400,000 houses is pretty much like sweet spot of the market. There's a lot of buyers in there. So my question is this, and I think from that spot going down, I'm a firm believer. I'm maybe not as sold on in a given market. So move to another market where houses are 750 or $1 million, bridge per, I still totally get it. But in a market, if you have a house that's at the higher end of the market where the absorption rate or market time is smaller, longer, you still, like, if the median's 400 and we have one that is worth, let's say, 900, do you have any different feel as you get higher and higher in the market?
If the comps show let's go to the extreme version of this. The comps show an 880 value. Okay, this is where people, I would have a conversation with the client about pricing on the bridge at 900. And if in the first 3 weeks we don't have a minimum of 10 showings and an offer in hand, what is the market telling us about our 900 price?
Too high.
Too high. So then what should we do in that situation?
The price.
Well, we just talked about pricing on the bridge. So adjust our price to where so we get a new set of eyeballs.
800 or $1 million.
Well, if 900's wrong, then 800 makes sense, doesn't it? And so what I want to do to make sure we're prepared, let's get the paperwork done now.
Right
at
on, man.
listing. So it's dated 21 days from now at 800. So if we've missed the mark, we can move quickly and not have your house sit on the market. You get it done at the listing appointment. You've educated them on pricing on the bridge, and now you can get the significant drop rather than doing this. Oh, we want to drop it 10 grand to 890. You've educated them that that doesn't get more eyeballs, which it doesn't. Make sense, Justin?
Yep, love it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Christy, what do you got?
Question two, if it's something that's like, say, $499 or $480, and you have it at 500 on the bridge, and like you just said, it's sitting there for weeks and nothing's happening, then obviously it's probably priced too high. Would like 450 be a bridge too, or do you have to go all the way down to 400?
Depending on the price, depending on the price point, and it's in the material, some kind of ideas on this, the bridges are different. So
when you go over like 900, you would jump to 100 grand difference. And when you're like under 500, you probably stay in the 50 grand difference.
Exactly. And again, that's right from those numbers are right from the material. And that's why I use that 900, because he said 800 and above is usually 100,000 gap.
Okay.
So
I wanted to make sure I understood that.
Know that a house I sold in Alabama, it's been a little long, I'm forgetting the numbers exactly, but I think it was I went on at 500 because the comps were like 490, had no traffic, dropped it to 450, and negotiated up to, I think, 478 with multiple offers. So, and wound up, the market dropped even more after we got out of there. So, yeah. The model works. Matt, I saw your mic come on and go off. Was that I got something or I don't got something? Okay, whatever this means, I can translate it. What else do you guys have from the content? We still have great stuff on timing, bridges. Tom, I see you, and then Dustin, I see you. What do you got, Tom?
Have a conversation with me. I've got a referral, and the referring agent in California is heavily involved, she's the interpreter too. It's Japanese speaking sellers. Comps call for 400, and she doesn't want to do that. We want to get it sold. She doesn't want to do 450. So she calls for 400. She doesn't want to do 350. She wants to do 375. And I mean, I feel good with that price because it's below what other comps in that neighborhood are. But would you do the 350? Because I'm with you that I think they're going to search to 400 or they're going to search to 350. And I don't know that go ahead.
Sub 400, actually, some people, and I kind of agree, do $25,000 bridges. The key is we're still going to use that solid number, baby. And compared to, you guys get to differentiate yourself from everybody else in the market with higher levels of knowledge about how stuff is sold in the digital age versus open up a newspaper and see psychologically $4.99.
Yeah, don't sell a sweater.
So, yeah. All right. So, yes, sub 400, I'm okay with 25,000. That's what I recommend. So, Dustin, you are next. And I see Celeste hand up and other folks are ready to go. Mark, etc.
Yeah, so he talks about it quite a bit, I think a couple times in there where he's saying, hey, it's us against the market, right? So you're never going to be the bad guy with your pricing, but sometimes the pricing can be seasonal. He talks about that. So maybe some of the comps are a little bit higher or lower, and that's where pricing on that bridge will help. But the one thing, and Russ alluded to this too, is making sure that you get them in agreement to say, hey, Mr. Seller, if we're sitting here and we're priced at 800,000 and we hear crickets in the next 2 weeks and we don't have any showings, the first 2 to 3 weeks are absolutely crucial for traffic. That's when it's new, it's fresh, it's hot. That's where the most buyers are going to be interested. If we don't get anybody or any offers, we're going to automatically drop down to that 750. Put that in the rep agreement. That way you don't have to go get that conversation again in 2 weeks, because then they tend to balk at it. But I mean, the whole point is you got to make them realize that if they've missed the bus, no bus is coming. They are sitting at a bus stop, never going to get picked up. The only thing that might show up is one of those creepy white vans that's going to offer them candy and a lowball offer. That's it. So they've got to get it in their head that in that first few weeks, they've got to do a price reduction. But if you got any issues with it, remember, it's us against the market, and put it in that rep agreement.
So as Celeste also said earlier, and I want to make sure you guys, I'm going to beat it in your head every time we talk, that you've got to get them to self-discover it by questions. So that's why, again, it's if we don't hear anything in the next 3 weeks, what is the market telling us? Rather than telling them, if we don't hear any 3 weeks, this is what the market is telling us. Ask instead of tell. Celeste, you're up, and then Mark, you're next.
Well, I think I'm going to add to this conversation that we are so used to pricing where we expect that we're going to negotiate down from there. And if you're fully aware of your market and you know what has sold and what it looked like and that condition compared to your property, I would add that the value is to be as truly educated as to what's sold recently, so that when you are pricing and people come in and they want to negotiate down, which that's the norm, instead saying with confidence, no, this was just a marketing price. We actually are getting offers. We anticipate offers coming in above this. And let me point out an exact comparable that sold within, this last 6 months. And this is what they sold for. So this number, this listing price that you're seeing is simply a market price. It's a marketing attraction price. it's not what we expect it to sell for. So
So
you're
let's
sharing with them.
let's break this right now, because I never want you guys giving a client a number. If you say this is the list price, what do they automatically do?
They
Push
want
back.
more. Yeah, they want
No,
more.
it's not. It should be here. You have to have an. So I'm going to give you the 2-minute top CNN version, and there's a whole script behind this. I have 3 usually active comps in the market that are similar to theirs. So this is what we're looking at. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you ever seen this house? And I put the MLS sheet in front of them. We ask that because maybe it's rare, but maybe they have a friend that lives there and they know that property really well, better than you do. It's almost always no. Great. You can see it's got the same bed bath. It's a little bit smaller. They haven't done a thing to it, and it is listed at $374. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you seen this house? No. Similar bed bath. They've upgraded the baths, the kitchen. It's got a larger yard, a little more square footage, and it's listed at $415. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you seen this house? Number 3, the middle, the one that's the best comp. And you go through the same thing. It's listed at $390. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you were a buyer in this marketplace and this is what you were looking at as potential buying, which one of these 3 would you buy? You move them into the mind of a buyer now. They're looking at the stuff. They'll give you an answer. Whatever the answer is, dig. What is it about that house that has you want to write on it? What else? What else? Dig. Because whatever they're saying, the ultimate thing they're saying is it's the best value in the market. So you can now come back to that after you've done, man, you are just like every other buyer. You are looking for the best value in the marketplace, aren't you? So now let's go back to yours, since these are the competition. Where do you believe we should price your home to be the best value and the next one to sell? You've educated them on the market. You've given them the information. You've shown it. You can even go through some of the Larry stuff on the scattergrams, which I'm still learning, and the pricing lines I'm still learning out of there. Yet you're asking them, once you've educated them, where it should be priced. And 9 times out of 10, you get a number better than yours. Let's say they say $390. I agree that's the value. And remember our conversation about pricing on the bridge? So where would Realtor Russ think that this might be if we're going to price it on the bridge? I still don't tell them 400. I let them tell me 400.
I hear you, and I know that you're referencing our conversation with the seller. I'm talking about having conversations with other realtors when they come in. And
Awesome.
they
Other realtors, when
they're
they
gonna
come in and say,
negotiate
oh my
down.
gosh, it's 300. Other realtor, have you looked at the comps in this market?
Right.
What do you think it's really worth based on the comps? So what do you think we did on our list price? And what do you think our interest is? I don't tell them anything. Okay? We're going to keep driving that. Mark Adams, what do you got, my friend?
So I'm terrible on the fly when I'm meeting with them and trying to do numbers in my head. I'm really, really bad at that. So one of the things that I try to do is get an idea from them of what they think their house is worth on the initial phone call. So when they tell me what their motivation is, like, great, I'm going to come by and meet you. I'm going to take a look at your house order. Hey, real quick, while I've got you on the phone, do you have an idea what you think your house is worth based on the other homes that sold in the neighborhood? Yeah, I think it's worth 400,000. Wonderful. So I'm going to do my comps. If I'm off, like if these numbers are off $50,000, before I go out there, I might call them up and have another conversation. Hey, Mr. Seller, hey, I just want to let you know, I did a little bit of research in the neighborhood. I'm not going to have an actual price when I come out and look at your house because I want to actually see it. But I was looking at the comps and you'd indicated you thought your house was worth $400,000. Is that correct? Yeah. So when I was looking at the comps, I couldn't find anything higher than 350. So let me ask you a question. If we don't get $400,000 for your house, are you going to be happy or are you going to be sad? What do you think they're going to say? Sad. Well, I already know then that I've got work to do when I meet with them. So I always want to have an idea how much work I have to do when I meet them before I even go out there, so that I can kind of have it in my mind how I'm going to play the bridge game. And Russ is absolutely correct. Another thing that I think works really, really well is know your numbers. One of the things we use is, hey, by the way, we have a company called Showing Time that actually schedules all the showings. Do you know that an average house goes under contract after 8 showings? So that helps us do a price reduction if it's on the market for 2 weeks and we've had 12 showings. It's the market saying that the house is not priced right. It's not. And I agree with Dustin getting it in writing. I use words like price improvement. I also will say if the house hasn't sold, statistically speaking, the average list price to sales price ratio is 98%. Your house hasn't sold in the last 3 weeks. You have 12 showings. Statistically speaking, it's at least 3% overpriced. So we need to do a price improvement at 3%. I don't like to throw a number out there because they freak out. 3% doesn't scare them. So how much is 3%? It's $15,000. Yep, that's exactly right. That's the price improvement we need to make. So I let them tell me instead of me telling them, right? And then I even had a client say, do you mean a price reduction? Yes, we need to do a price reduction. Lean into it. It's okay. But know your numbers, know your statistics. And like I said, I like to have that number up front when I'm going there so I know how much work I have to do with that bridge. And if you have statistics and you have data, like Russ is absolutely correct. The first thing I say is, I'm not going to tell you what your house is worth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the numbers, and between the 3 of us, 4 of us, whoever's making decisions, we're going to decide what your house should be priced at. Right now, I'm going to guide them in that direction, babe. By the way, we all know we can pick comps to get whatever number we want, right? We all know that. We all know that. So once we have an idea where their price is, then we can pull comps up to get the number that we're trying to give, right? So we all can do that. And we all do that. Just acknowledge and say you're going to do it, and then go do that.
So 2 things on that, since you brought that up at the end, I had to add a second. One of my favorite Mark Twain quotes. There are liars, damn liars, and statistics. Can always find the stats to tell the story. Now, that being said, I want to share with you guys what Mark really epitomized there. On Tuesday, I introduced to the room that we were live in some new content that I have developed. Russ's 15 rules, if you will, of things that you become a master at that are free and simple. I didn't say easy, free and simple. And number 1, by the way, Mark, which you epitomized there, was be prepared. What does it cost you to actually prepare before a meeting and be ready to go with all that detail?
Time.
Not a damn thing. And yet so many of you are winging it. I'm an old legal scout. Be prepared had to be number 1. And I really want you guys to be thinking of that. You're going to hear more of these little nuggets on who you get to be. These 15 things that if you just internalize and make a part of your life, it'll happen. Number 2, by the way, is be punctual. This room starts at the top of the hour, and some of you come in a minute, 2, 3 late. If you do it here, you do it everywhere. So just know more of this stuff is rolling in. Mr. Tom with the hot mic, brother. What else do you have to add?
Yes, sir. So I had another listing appointment, and it's the owners have passed, and the person that's responsible for getting it sold is a banker. He hired an appraiser who said, "Oh, it's worth $850," and I had to have the conversation with them. Well, it could appraise for $850, but the market says maybe 800, probably 775. It's a 100% complete fixer-upper, carpeted bathrooms and all kinds of weird stuff. How do you have that conversation?
Well, I am absolutely on the same point. I let the data teach it. So I'm in the process of attempting to purchase real estate in Houston, Texas. And almost everything I've looked at, it seems that the sellers have had an appraisal recently. And the appraisal, I mean, over $1 million, house is listed at 850 and still hasn't sold. And so I will pull, as you know, Mark said, I will pull those and put them in front of them. And even if it's there, even if it's that particular house, I then ask, great, you've got this appraisal at $1,800,000. What has the market told you about the value?
Right. Yeah. And he's comparing to a house 3 doors down that's double the size, and the lot is too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it could go for that
and
if we ever fixed
so
it.
the challenge for you is you've got to pull those comps of what's actually sold, get them in front of that seller to educate them on here's what the market is saying.
Right.
Okay. Camacho, your mic's hot. I love you, brother. We're at the bottom of the hour and I'm still going to honor you. Close us out.
Hey, so back in the short sale days, 14 years ago, 10 years ago, the banks always had a really high number. They wanted us to come in. It would be 50, 75, sometimes even $100,000. So what our strategy was there, and we put this in listing agreements, was cool. We'll list it at this. Every 2 weeks, we're making a $10,000 or $15,000 price drop every two, like clockwork, because if the market is up here, we're going to get a lot of activity. And if it's not, we're not going to get any activity. We just had a strategy of bringing it down every 2 weeks, and it was amazing. Oftentimes, we would drop the price, and within a Friday, Saturday, Sunday time, by the time we came into the office the next morning, we might have 2 or 3 offers. Boom, in one weekend, and that tells us, boom, this is the market. It's not up here. It was here. So consider those strategies. I'm totally fine taking a quote overpriced listing as long as the right benchmarks are in there to bring the price down to where the market is.
Fantastic, guys. And what an incredible journey we have had in ninja selling. Next session, Inner Excellence. Jim Murphy, the book came in yesterday. Perfect timing.